Oh, hi, welcome back to, I forgot the name. What are we? Over the
Gocs,
hill, on the hill.
Over the hill, on the
View
hill.
from the hill. So, something to do with hills. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone who's following us, thank you very much. I'm not a very confident person, but it hasn't been as prolific as we would have liked. But you know what they say, quality over quantity. So
Exactly,
we
yeah.
haven't pumped them out, but when we get together, it's hard for us to get together. We're busy blokes. But anyway, we're here. Origin Fever. This is the prime. We're not sure when this gets released, but currently it's the day before Game 1, and we're not far from the cauldron here. We're on the. I won't tell you where, so you don't find where our
No stalkers, thanks.
Yeah. But we're within the radius. We're about 5 kilometers from the cauldron, and I could feel the fever bubbling. So we'll get into Origin soon, but obviously Origin means NRL's been going for a little while. Like we're not. I don't think we're quite halfway getting
Around
that.
13.
I think someone said the other day, Dolphins are the first team to play half of their games because that's because they haven't had a bye.
Yeah.
So we're getting close anyway. One thing I thought we might review, talking about like old eps and stuff, preseason predictions. We've been bloody stuffed by the green machine, mate. I know I definitely had Raiders last.
I definitely had Raiders last as well.
And good on them. Ricky's got them flying, but it's a bit embarrassing for. Look, like I said, almost halfway through, anything could happen. But I think it's safe to say Raiders aren't going to come last.
I think there's no way, no.
Especially with your.
I think mathematically they probably can't, and especially how my team Panthers
I
are
was
doing.
going to say with your beloved Panthers, but
I think it's kind of impossible. But I do also want to put a public apology out to Mark Gibbons, who's a big Raiders fan.
Well, this is
I was wrong. What can I say? I was wrong. He's a friend of the show. He's watched all of our episodes so far.
Number one ticket holder.
Yep.
Well, this is something like I was just gonna say because people are jumping on that you guys are bottom, but you are like you have one more draw than Titans, but the bye.
I think the
bye.
thing.
I don't like the bye
it.
giving points, but I got into an argument as I have been known to do with people in comment sections and. A lot of people jumped on me, calling me a loser and stuff. So, that I was against because it is one of those. It is like you can make an argument, and it is kind of like there's no right or wrong because they're like, oh, it all evens out anyway. But I just don't like how it
trying to follow it, you've got to. I feel like I'm trying to be Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
So like when you look, there are some teams that haven't had a bye. Maybe the Dolphins are the only one at this point because there was a big bye round last week. But then you look at the ladder, and there are some teams that have already had two, and then there's a team that hasn't had any. So that's like
this is my view.
It's a very
I know
big.
everyone's entitled to their own view, but my view is by giving 2 points, that's like saying you didn't play but you would have won. Whereas I feel like maybe it's like a glass half full, half empty thing. But if you haven't actually got the win, then you haven't got it. Like you've got to earn that. Anyway, it's a moot point.
The point that I want to talk about, was that the Cowboys have had 4 wins and they're coming 7th because they've had 2 byes. The Roosters have had 5 wins. West Tigers have had 5.
Yeah.
So, the way that it works out, because they've had 2, like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But then also, in saying that, Raiders haven't had a bye yet either. They've had 9 wins, 3 losses, and no byes. Bulldogs are on top, and they've had 9 wins, 2 losses, and a bye. So...
Yeah,
well, when you look at it like that,
I just look at wins. Really, I look at wins because, like, I do a little bit of gambling, a little bit of betting. So I like to do some like multis between the different codes of sport. And anyway, they'll have like Melbourne's probably going to make the 8, right? But they've got them at this like super ridiculous low odds of like. Pretty much like $1.
Same with Broncos are always that as well.
Yeah, but they're like $1.01, which is like, they'd probably make it. But they're also right now, they're 6 wins, 4 losses, which is like, there's a couple like cheeky surprise sort of losses like the Raiders won at Magic Round, but they're still not, they're not dominating like people thought. So anyway, that's that's my view. Everyone's entitled to their own. I'm not into the buy round points.
But, yeah, I just look at wins and losses.
But I mean, people love jumping on you guys because you've dominated. Yeah. So I just want to say you're not right at the bottom, but
we're dead last at the moment. Yeah.
But I mean, you're like, I saw that, like talking about betting, I saw how decimated Penrith were. And I chucked a few bucks on Knights because
did you really?
Well, Knights have been terrible, but it was just a case of I wasn't even confident they'd win. But it's just like, if you cannot win this, you might as well hand your license back. Like Penrith.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Obviously, no the Origin players. So that's like no Martin, Cleary, Yo, Edwards. 5 players out, and these are guys like best. Yeah, and obviously every year you've lost guys. So previously when you'd have your Fisher and your
Isaac Tungo played as a edge forward.
Yeah,
they had him playing in the.
It was decimated.
Pack, I do want to say this though, and it kind of ties in with that. Penrith at the moment. After the Dolphins game, because we went along to that one, as we were leaving, a guy was like, "Ooh," because I was wearing my Panthers jersey, was like, "Oh, we beat you. You're coming last," because Penrith were coming last at that point as well. But I do want to say, if you have a look at the other end of the table, Bulldogs are number 1.
Oh, it's a crazy season.
But not just where's our players gone? I think they've got 6 players that have come from Penrith and their coach, and it's his first ever head coaching gig. He was at Penrith before then. Warriors are coming 3rd. Webster was our other coach, and then they've got like 6 players from our team as well. Wade Egan, Dallin Watani's Lesniak, James Fisher-Harris. There's a whole Tamari Martin is at Warriors now. He'd come from Penrith back in the day. There's like a whole stack of players that are at the Warriors now that came from Penrith too. So I would say that, and our coaches. So when you look at that and then you look at the Tigers, they've improved a lot as well, and they've got I think 5 or 6 Panthers as well. You look at any club in 5 years, have they produced like 15 players that are like the top guys? The captain of the Warriors right now is James Fisher-Harris.
Yeah.
The captain of Tigers now is Jerome Luai. Before that, it was Api Coruscant, who he'd come from Penrith. And the captain of the Bulldogs at the moment is Crichton. Reid Marnie, I think, might have been the captain for a second in between that, but then Matt Burton was the captain his first year there too, who'd come from Penrith.
No, you definitely...
a club that's 5 players that have gone to other clubs and are the team captain. Kate Wells at Warriors as well, and he'd come from Penrith via Broncos. So, yeah, all I'm trying to say is if people looking at the ladder and whatnot, that's a lot of proper talent that you take away from there. And the one thing that I will say as well, because I thought, looking at it's been the year of upsets, I've thought that that Penrith would make the 8, and if they could make the 8, they might win.
Yeah.
But based on the fact that, you've got Storm losing to St. George and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
After the weekend, I take that back. Well, I'm not putting a line through them, but it would be some miracle shit. It would be miracles.
It's a pretty funny season, some wacky stuff going. Like, obviously we addressed our Raiders tips, but it doesn't even stop there because you look at like, all right, for example, a lot of people wanted but were guessing the Bennett thing with Dolphins, and they're going all right. Like they've had a few big scalps, Bulldogs. They beat Storm as well.
Yeah.
So that's something people thought would happen.
Well, Broncos smashed the Bulldogs by 40 points. Then the week after that, Panthers smashed the Broncos. So, like, do you know what I mean?
Well, that was the week where it's like maybe Penrith are back. But
but that's the thing is like so, and this is also why I think Penrith might not make it. There's one win difference from 7th to 16th, and it makes it harder for the teams that are at the bottom of that backlog. It makes it harder for them to make up because even if Penrith wins 6 in a row, the way other teams are winning and losing, it's just going to keep all of them jammed in. So because they're behind and it's round 13, I think they're in trouble.
Like sometimes you can look at stuff and try and look for a pattern or a trend. And so one thing I was going to say with Warriors that kind of shocked people because they're like, oh, you've lost Johnson, Tohu Harris, might have been someone else. A lot of experience. But that's why I'm thinking of the trend where, I don't know, do you think the top teams are young or, because, you look at like.
They got James Fisher-Harris in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the difference in my opinion.
Yeah. But they lost for Noah Blake too. So.
Yeah, but James Fisher-Harris, this is, and we'll get into it later with Origin because it's my big fear with Queensland is Tino. There aren't very many forwards that do what Fisher-Harris does, and I'm not talking about the work. I'm talking about he makes the other big guys know they're big on his team, and Tino does the same thing. Tino is also, but he just smashes dudes. Yeah. But we'll get to that when we talk about Origin. I don't want to, I'll keep my powder dry with that.
Yeah. The big one. State of Origin. Thought you'd be wearing some blue, mate. I got my maroon.
I've got my VB Blues thing going on.
I did a ad the other year with Billy
Moore.
I should know the name. The Queenslander guy. Yeah. And I had a Maroons jersey, but I don't know where it is. So this is a skateboard shop, but it's got maroon on it. But yeah, you're a Blues man. I'm a Maroons.
What do you think of the teams? What do you think of the Maroons team?
It's a good team. It's there's a bit of size in the pack. Like obviously over the years the depth has just changed so much. I remember back in the day we were scraping guys off of benches from resis and stuff, and so the quality's there. Maybe, we don't have like sort of endless supply of big boppers like you guys do, but like Fasumalami. I should say Tina. I can't really say his surname easily, but he's a gun prop, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he's the best. He's the.
And then you've always got guys lifting a level too. Like Coral, I think Coral will play better.
It's the magic of the Maroons is that they'll go another level. Yeah. So it makes it so hard to pick because. Which Ruben Cotto shows up, which Nanai, which and even Munster. Like
people having quality around them. Like Cherry hasn't been setting NRL on fire, but he's going to have.
But he's set Origin on fire before. Yeah.
He's going to have like Tino hitting the ball up, not Matt Lodge and
the
junk forwards that Manly have.
What do you think of? What do you think the guys that'll make the difference for Maroons will be? Who do you think the guys to watch are?
Obviously Munster's very dangerous, isn't he? He can pull something out of nowhere. And it's almost that thing of yes, it's what he does, but also just the defense. Like shit, what's he gonna do? Obviously Tabuai. I was someone who was. I wanted to see him at fullback because he's so great at fullback.
Yeah, we talked about. I think I said, why isn't he considered? Yeah,
it's that thing of sometimes it works against you being good at multiple positions.
Yeah,
because they wanted Ponga in, but they probably don't know where else to put him. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's good to have options, but I feel like. A lot of people use different sayings for things. I like the saying of like. What would your opposition
not want to face? Yeah,
and I can see like Tabuai kind of giving you defensive nightmares.
Yeah,
not
Ponga as well. Well, it depends what Ponga. So
he can be dangerous, obviously, but
the thing that Tabuai Fido has that is really scary is that if he has one step, if there's a break and he gets one step in front of you, no one on the Blues is going to catch. Dylan Edwards is not going to run down. The hammer, none of our guys are. So that's the thing that I think is the thing that is the most scary thing about him.
The thing I don't get right with that whole lifting for Odin is like, if Ponga or someone like that is so great, shouldn't they be able to? Doesn't work like dominated NRL.
Dunno.
But it is that quality around you.
Cleary's dominated NRL, but apparently he hasn't dominated Origin. So
it's physical, mental, everything combined. That's the beauty of it. What about you? What do you think of the Blues?
The Blues, I like the team. I think they went the right way with Tommy Turbo. Ever since that game 3 2 years ago,
Cook game.
when he did his peck on the first tackle of the match, and then Freddie put Damien Cook in the centres for the entire game. That I thought it was just for 5 minutes while they worked it out, and then they'd. Yeah, ever since then, and then you look at Turbo's body and his thing now.
I was talking before about sample sizes. He's not super old, is he? What would he be, late 20s now?
I think he's late 20s, yeah.
But you're always getting that point where you can look at his career as a whole. I think he's going to be remembered and you see this in many sports, not just rugby league. But I guess rugby league, particularly being so physical, you see players who the talent is there in terms of what they can do, but the body just didn't allow it. And so obviously he's like freakish, fast, elusive, but has missed a hell of a lot of footy. And then
I think that time he popped his pec, and then we just got we should have won. Our team was good that.
Well, what do they
year.
say? This is this meant to be like golden gen because you got like Haas, Mitchell, Tedesco, Treboy, and it's
I think so.
If you reflect back on it, but some of these when they talk about errors, like you don't know when to start it, when to finish it. But let's say 2020, if you started around there and that group that came through together, Haas, Cleary.
I do want to get onto that. Yeah, I think you're jumping ahead by going there. I think the New South Wales bench is better than the Queensland bench. I think I almost, just from watching the Roosters game the other night, I almost want to see Spencer Leniu start. Just not as in like for New South Wales, but I mean just to watch it. I thought they were going to – off
the back fence.
I thought the ref was about to blow the whistle like 15 minutes into that last Roosters game and be like, all right, the NRL's just called me – because of the HIA concussion thing, we're cancelling the kickoff now. Like the dude's
he's
like
a bit of a throwback, eh?
Like, but he's just like
it's almost a mixture of the two because he's got the modern physique, but the old school.
And he runs like a tap. It's scary. Yeah. So I genuinely, I was like, man, they're gonna have to ban the kickoff. Like I was scared just watching the game. Like genuinely, I was like, this is crazy. So I'd love for that to happen, but I'm sure they won't start him, and also probably because he'll get himself sent off. He'll be that wound up if they do that.
Speaking of New South Wales, we did send along our reporter yesterday for some.
Oh yes, we did. We had our secret reporter down.
Me.
Yeah.
I put my reporter's cap on. Okay, so
Danny Weidler was there and Gocsy was there.
Yeah. So the big guns are there. Weidler, Gocs. So it was at Ballymore, which is a rugby union ground. So already New South Wales revealing themselves not to be men of the people. No, I'm joking. But I don't know how it all works. I guess whatever.
They don't go to Suncorp anymore because Queensland used to put their old boys day on when they did their thing.
Because they had a session against Wynnum Manly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, couldn't they have not found like a league ground? But I know like sometimes teams will use like East Tigers and that.
Yeah.
But it could be that thing of, who wants to help the enemy.
And you can lock them out, kind of. You can lock them out.
Because I went along to spy on the enemy. So, but I was listening to Sports Radio SEN and they mentioned, New South Wales training is on now. And I live on the south side, so I had to get something done first. But then I went. And so by the time I got there, I didn't see any actual training though. So, but...
it wasn't you that leaked the footage of Crichton?
No, not me, no. It was quite grainy, that footage too, so it did look like someone's just put it on a phone.
Yeah. Apparently New South Wales is going to look at their drone footage to see who it could have been.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they weren't happy about it. Well, I feel like, they were talking about secrecy. There's, like the radio was saying Queensland have been quite secret this year with their training and stuff, but I guess because you do have... Like rep footy is quite interesting in that you've got these guys brought together in a quick amount of time. You've got like a week and a bit, right? So different personalities, positions, injury clouds. So there was an injury cloud over Haas, but he trained. But I didn't know about the Crichton thing actually. If I got there a bit early, I could have got the scoop.
Right. I thought you had a photo of him saying that he had the ice on his leg.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh.
That wasn't me. No, someone else took that.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. One thing that I will say that, and it'll be interesting. So where the Blues had their camp was in the Blue Mountains. I grew up in the Blue Mountains. I grew up about 15 minutes away from Blue Mountains Grammar. One of my mates, Luke Webb, peace out, Luke. He teaches high school there now. But I know that area very well, and I saw the photos, and I know people back home, and whatever. It has been absolute shit weather. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think I read Blue Mountains Grammar.
Yeah, Blue Mountains Grammar. They're right. Yeah.
I played a rugby union game for Blue Mountains rugby union team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's the only union game I've ever played. But sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's all right. But yeah, just seeing the weather up there, when the cold and shit, when it's wet and cold up that way, it's a different cold and shit that you'll see anywhere, and like they wouldn't have been going outside.
Well, it's a bit of a change up. They usually go Coogee.
They did Blue Mountains last year, but the thing is that the Maroons have been up at the sunny coast. They wouldn't have had many great sessions in. So whether that's going to be a good or a bad thing, but like it was miserable and wet AF. So
it was beautiful and sunny yesterday. Actually, I got some photos with the players as I was getting on the bus.
We'll put some up on the thing.
Yeah, well, the ones with the like the sun was really strong in the background, but I think the only player I think who knew who I was Connor Watson. So shout out to Connor,
friend of the show. He's not, but whatever.
Yeah. Hey, that's like almost knowing who I am. That's huge.
Yeah.
So it's like. But the other, I posted them to my page and some people commenting like, "How did you get Payne Haas to smile?" And
actually, I don't remember the last time I've seen that guy smile.
And Lenny had a semi-pro, the movie jersey, the Will Ferrell. So I like that connection. Being a comedian myself, any connection to comedy, but no, but it was interesting just to see. It was very very low key. There was like 5 fans there. I guess in enemy territory, and it's not. Yeah. People work and stuff. It was a weekday around about 12, so but.
Was there any hot gossip that you haven't heard? Any Denny Weidler scoops that you've got?
No, it was funny seeing Weidler there. I was like looking right at him. I didn't realize at first he had a cap on. Looked a little bit different. Bit of makeup when
and he had weird shoes.
Yeah,
he was wearing like runners with like jeans.
They kind of look like TNs though.
Yeah. We'll post that picture too. He's an interesting looking.
Not gossip or anything, but Toto, when he went on the bus, he beat the horn, and I was like, "What's that?" Like my first, because I wasn't looking at the bus, and my first thought, when something happens like that, instantly you're like,
it's like an alarm or something. You're like,
what's going on? The first thing you think, and my first thought is like, it's the driver. Like, come on, guys! But then someone, one of the other journos there. There's a few people with cameras, and so I didn't know who they were. It might be like. Maybe something to do with the team or
they've got their socials people.
Anyway, they said to me, whenever that happens, it's Toto. So, and I just said to them, like most teams will have a pest or So, but it seemed like, it's always that thing too. It's like they're not. I think the modern game being quite fast. Like a lot of them, they're not huge people, but they are obviously specimens of like.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I was thinking too is just the whole like the value of that bus. That's like,
they're in a fancy
it's
bus.
surprising with all the stuff the media does, with all the like dissecting. Very rarely, like they should do like the values of the teams, like what they're like,
or everyone's wage stacked up. Right.
Queensland 10.8 mil.
Yeah. I wonder who the cheapest player on a team. Maybe Robert Toya would be for.
Yeah, because he'd be on his rookie contract.
Yeah, or he'd be on 50 on the books.
Plus what Uncle Nick gives. Yeah.
But
shout out to Uncle Nick.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a low paid player there. Yeah, maybe that's something to think about. That's interesting. Yeah,
because it's very obviously I have rep footy, you have like tests, but very rarely do you.
Everyone's the best in their position.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you got NRL, you're told what you can spend, Matt. There's no. Maybe something could introduce salary cap.
A salary cap for the
Origin.
That'd
10
be funny.
mils.
Yeah. What do you think are Queensland's strengths player wise, or what their game plan would be to play to their strengths?
Yeah, well, like I think the backs have more pace with Coates and Tabuai. Although I think New South Wales backs are more
yardage,
well-rounded players. Like, like Mitchell, you're not going to say he's the fastest guy around, but he's just a beast of a.
He's fast enough when he needs to be.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm just saying. I'm saying Queensland has the outright pace, but that's not necessarily a great thing.
I think Harry Grant is a huge strength for Queensland, and especially Robson. Our guy. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't watch.
Well, that's the one
Cowboys play.
That's the one thing that's strange about New South Wales. They've always pump out certain positions. Back row, they pump out. Even just today on the way here, I was thinking about how Cam Murray isn't playing. Like he'd probably be.
He's.
So they pump out back rows. Fullback is another position. But 9 is a weird one, isn't it? 9 because
Oh, Robbie Farah. We had Farah. We had.
Yeah. But I mean, at the moment, like recent years, like.
We had Ennis, who would have been good too.
Robson's pretty good, but he's not like.
But they could pick Appy, but they don't. They could pick a Mitch Kenny, but they don't. They could have picked. Yeah, there's a few, but for some reason, Robson is the guy they're going with.
Yeah.
Which, is fine, but like they're also not going to pick someone that's better than Harry Grant. You see that when the Storm lose. And Harry Grant's thing as well, like every pass from dummy half is a little bit forward, and when he does that, it just gets them right up closer. So, those little things, and he does it. He does it every time. So, and then his speed out of the ruck and his whatever, and it's just like he's incredible. He's the one percenters or the intangible parts of the game.
Yeah.
He just gives them an edge, and the other big edge for me that I think is Tino. How he runs and whatever. And if we didn't have Haas, I'd be very scared. But Haas apparently is cleared to play.
Yeah.
But I would give you 3 Payne Haasses if we could have 1 Tino. I genuinely feel that strongly about
being
him.
a front row myself, even though it's in the suburban over 35s.
Yeah.
Which I am going to be playing again this year. I got my, I turned 40 and you've got to get a medical when you turn 40. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But
they said your medical was better than Payne Haas's?
That's what they said. They're like, oh, no. Payne Haas, he's amazing. He's taken the position to the next level. I don't like the criticism he gets. It's a bit like Cleary where people go, he hasn't dominated Origin. Because this idea of like, you haven't dominated Origin, particularly in the front row, is like, what are you looking for, people who say that? Are you like looking for big breaks?
Yeah.
Like he does that in NRL because of the standard.
I was going to say, I don't think he dominates NRL either.
Oh, that's controversial.
He's won a wooden spoon.
Haas.
He's played, he was there when they won the spoon.
I have to disagree with you there.
Okay.
I reckon he's taken prop to the next level, in my opinion. Like, obviously now we've got the stats, post-contact meters, all that. Like, yes, some of these guys now, they are amazing with what the post-contact meters they're getting, but you're not going to see the big burst line break or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I do want to clarify this, by the way, by saying that, like, this is a compliment to Tino, me saying that, like, if we didn't have Haas, I would be terrified. Just like last year, you look game 2, even game 1, when they had someone sent off, New South Wales dominated that game. They just didn't have the players so they'd get stripped and they'd scored.
Yeah.
But game 2, game 3, they matched it up, or they held New South Wales out.
Yeah.
But they never were on top. But if Tino was there last year, that's a completely different series. And if Tino is here this year, if Payne Haas was out for injury, I would be absolutely terrified. It would be Queensland red hot.
The media are getting a bit flustered because the players aren't giving them anything. Now,
why do you think they aren't? What do you think it is?
The biggest thing is like everyone's worried about like, you gave them ammunition, Like if someone's like, we got their measure, then they'll be like cocky Queensland things. So that's one of them. And then it's also you're like, it's the biggest thing is having things turned against you, what you say. And you just don't want to give any ammunition. But also, I saw someone comment where they said it was, there's all these different pages with opinions and stuff. And someone was saying it's the player's duty to promote it. And I was thinking nothing a player could say is going to make Origin bigger. It's big. Like it would be nice to have them sort of taking pot shots at each other. But it's almost like the size of how big it's gotten is why. No, because when they would give a bit of ammunition, that was like 80s and 90s where they're still trying to build it up. And the other thing too is now there's like, because there is so many pages and things, it's like everything's going to be magnified. Anything
the news cycle's huge,
And it's a simple game. There's not really much, if they're going to, everyone's done to death the whole, we hate them and stuff.
So do we need Spencer Lenny to tell us how he feels about Queensland? No. You know what I mean? And like the Suncorp crowd
the only thing
it's entertaining. I'd lap it up. You know what I mean? But like, I know how he feels.
You know what sucks? Because the players are giving us nothing. The media are creating their own stuff. So we're just getting. I think I've seen about 20 times this like Robert Toya lowest amount of games. And like Cherry,
second lowest. I think.
Whatever. But it's so rehashed. And then my parents, the classic boomer, they still get the paper delivered every day. So I go outside, get it for mum. I pull off the plastic, and I always read the first sort of like headlines, usually sport.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about actual news. I'll go straight to sport. And so the other day, I think it was Sunday Mail, they've got Billy Moore, who, like I said, worked with him, awesome guy. But his thing was like they love anyone who will give their opinion, right? Because it's like if you're willing to put your name to something, because there's so many things we see that are anonymous. Anyway, it said Queensland legend says, and the criticism was about the halves for New South Wales being both sevens. So they were like, he's saying, he wasn't even saying it won't work. The whole thing just goes, Billy Moore says it may not work. And this is the what do you call that? Analysis.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of the word. This is the analysis we get is someone looking at the thing as a whole and saying this may happen. And it's just like, well, let's see. You're like, yeah, things don't always go perfectly to plan, but they're two great players. And I think that was the thing they were trying to say is like too much sameness. But like Cronk and Thurston were kind of like sevens.
The lack of media build-up is I genuinely think so. There was that Bulldog Richie worst Queensland team ever.
Yeah.
And then Daly Cherry Evans even lifting the shield and said on behalf of the worst team ever or whatever. So there was all that stuff. I think, and now with as you were saying, so much media, anyone that says something, if they end up losing, or if someone says, Tino's going to smash blah-de-blah, and then Tino doesn't smash whoever, then everyone's keeping receipts these days.
Yeah.
So I think they're very on edge. There's that element to it. And I also think the other element to it is this year there are a lot of players coming in out of form, or a lot of players that aren't proven in Origin. So no one's going to get cocky yet when you've got Jeremiah Nanai and Robert Toya out on an edge that's got Latrell Mitchell and Lomax and Angus Crichton on it. You know, it's like it's quite scary, some of the matchups.
Yeah.
But at the same time, anyone can pull a maroon jersey on and be a superhero. So then you don't want to get
frustrate.
You know what I mean? So I think a lot of that stuff is the chats. But then also if you look at the fullbacks right now, Kalen Ponga got bumped out by Reece Walsh. Then he came back in last year and he was ineffective in game 3. He came on and it didn't work. His club's been bad, but they think he's going to go well here. Dylan Edwards hasn't owned the number 1 spot. There's still the question marks. Tedesco's playing great as well. So
but this is
if Dylan Edwards has a shocker or if they lose this series, I think Dylan Edwards drops down. Kalen Ponga, I think you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And then I think with the halves, Ches, if he has a bad one and with all the stuff going on with Manly as well, it's going to affect his legacy. If Cam Munster has a ripper and they win because they lost last year without him, he's already a folklore dude in Origin. He's cemented as like the Wally Lewis of the post Cam Smith era. Like he's the guy, and no one else has a legacy like that in Origin at the moment. Maybe Trelly Mitt, we'll see. But like he's the only guy that everyone's like, oh man, Origin Munster shit. You know what I mean? So I think and then obviously Cleary's got the whole like, can he play Origin? Is he an Origin player? So I feel that like this series, and then when you look at
there's
the coaches,
not many debutants either. Right?
There's one on each team, I think.
That's what I'm saying. You asked me earlier what I think of the teams, and often
or 3 and 1.
Like I think I used Talakai as an example. Like that was a period where it's like, and there was like Pangai and stuff where there's like people were getting sort of jumpers a bit prematurely, not well.
It was Freddie overthinking it because he'd been in the game for too long. The head
and
noise of Origin.
Have the big aggressive pop. Anyway, so now it's like the closest. There's a few people like, oh, Max King, that's a bit weird, and then Toya's like, everyone's like he's talented.
Well, who else do they pick?
Yeah.
Well, Cobbo, everyone knows. I don't think it's as extreme as the media makes it out, but I think Billy and that aren't on. I think they're a bit off Cobbo's.
It's a bit of a throwback, isn't it, to the days when Queensland just had to pick someone because it's like there literally wasn't the depth. But
he's also the best statistical. He's the best centre in the that Queensland could pick.
Talking about depth, what I want to talk about is I won't go too deep into this, but talking a little bit about media coverage and the era we're in. This is something that's bugged me a bit, right? And I know media, they need to make stories. They can't just have nothing. But okay, we've got 2 examples here. There was the whole Terrell May thing, and then he's made that problem for himself.
Yeah.
But a lot of that comes from like, if you don't make a team, it's a terrible disrespect. Like, why can't it just be the 17 where we're good enough?
Yeah.
But it's always like, people want to have like, what's the word they use? Like shunned or not. If you don't make it.
Yeah, like rejected or like that
they're like,
kind
what?
of like,
Because people, as soon as the teams come out, someone will go, who was the snub? Snub's
who's snubbed? Yeah,
biggest snub, you know? And that's why people always want it to take it like, if you didn't make it, that's the selectors going like, F you suck. When it's like, New South Wales just won, right? Who were the props? I know it was Barnett, Lenny. Was Haas injured? Did he? I think he
No, Payne Haas is playing now.
No, but I mean last year when they won the series.
Oh, no, Haas was there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So they've kept loyalty to the guys who won. So May not coming in, isn't this like F you, Terrell May?
Yeah.
But he's turned it into that. He's saying like, oh, my surname is working against me. And
well, some people on podcasts said that, and then he ran with that line, and it's like, okay, you can believe that, and I think there's maybe some truth to it.
Why don't you just see? Why don't you just keep playing hard?
I think that was the point where he messed up. Yeah,
makes me like think you're a bit silly because it's like, just keep playing hard and see.
Yeah,
you see it in all I'll often say I follow a lot of sports. You see it in cricket where they just say, hit runs. And as a prop, you just go back there, run it. Like, you're paid by West to be a prop. Just do it. But he's come out with all. So that's one of
Here's my trick with the Mays, coming from Penrith guy that's had all 3 of them at the club at one point, and 2 of them win premierships at Penrith.
And all this Batman stuff.
Don't ever have a favourite May brother.
Does that backfire on you?
Don't do it.
So the other one was the media's trying to get going is that apparently Cobbo and Slater don't see eye to eye. And this is the thing. Maybe it's true. Who knows? But again, why can't it just be – I like Cobbo. I'm a big fan. But I also acknowledge – and I don't know a lot about Toyo. I haven't seen him play much. But I like Cobbo, but I acknowledge he has not played – like, he had a great game at fullback. I think it might have been against Dogs or someone else. But I don't think he's played – like, you have these levels of play, right? Like, you have bad, then you have okay, then you have good. And then, above good is like, you must pick me. I'm, sort of like how Mitchell's been playing.
Yeah.
And I don't think Cobbo has played to a level of, like, you must pick me.
Yeah.
So it's not this snub. But that's why everyone – and we're in an era of, like, look, we're giving our opinion. Everyone, dog. We're in an era of hot takes, opinions. But people want that drama of, like, if you weren't in the 17, like, the selectors hate you. What should we do, tips?
Oh, yeah, let's do our tips, yeah.
I reckon, as much as I hate to say it, and Queensland by only 10. Nah, Queensland by 2 points, I reckon. The home ground advantage will get them over. Penalty goal, late penalty goal. Something stupid by New South Wales. I
think, oh, God, yeah, that's the hard part. I've got to make a call, don't I?
Yeah. Don't sit on the fence.
Yeah, okay. New South Wales by 16. So, like, 26-10 or something.
All right.
That's what I think, looking at the teams, and genuinely, like, I'm really confident with our team. But
Big buck.
Tino, Harry Grant, Cam Munster, Ponga, it's Origin at Suncorp. It could be 20-18 to Queensland. That's the thing that'll probably happen. Yeah. And that's what I think, it's very tough. But yeah.
Well,
26-10. New South Wales.
We'll see how we go, and next time we meet, we'll see how our tips went. But thanks for listening, guys, and spread the word. Thanks, guys.